Previously on the High Risk Wrestling Podcast, we're going to get just a hard-hitting affair. And even then, this year we got a first when Kairi defeated Tam Nakano to become the first ever IWGP Women's Champion, which is now held by one Mercedes. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, April 8th, and you know what that means. It is time for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. I am your host. Didn't win the big one at Wrestlemania, but that's okay. Jeremy Pierce, welcome, one and all. And as always, you can check me out on the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and Tumblr, Charismatic_Creations 52 on Instagram, the 215 on Twitter, and yes, the Patreon is live. I gotta get that link in order, but the Patreon is live. And today's episode, well, I figure I'd give these guys one more shot, one more chance. We have our NXT Reset, taking a look at the brand. We had Stand and Deliver this past weekend, looking at our champions, and you know what to expect going forward. But for now, you know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. Now, I won't be before you very long, so let's just get into the news. If you haven't heard, the biggest news announced on Monday that Endeavor, the head owner of UFC, will be buying the WWE, and they will be merging into one company, but both will be separate. Yeah. And Vince McMahon is back in charge. He has wormed his way back into the company, and it's like we knew the sale was coming, but it's the fact that Vince is back in charge. Ademi LLP will be investigating the WWE, seeing this is a fair price in transaction. And now that Vince is back in charge, well, the morale has dipped considerably. He's back in charge of creative, as you can tell from just watching Monday Night Raw. And you know, fans don't like it, the wrestlers don't like it. Triple H is taking a major blow. He's not even on the new board, so what power he has, we don't know. Right now it looks like he might still be running some things. We've gotten reports that, you know, there will be some top WWE superstars requesting their release, because honestly, no one wants to work for Vince anymore. Fans have called for Vince McMahon to be fired, and Endeavor are well aware that fans don't want Vince McMahon around. So we'll see what will happen. Vince is still the majority shareholder once again. Only time will tell. Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed, horrible names. The Grizzled Young Veterans have requested their release, and it sounded like they were going to get it, but now it's totally up in the air. If I were them, I wouldn't want to be in the company either. It's not great. Against All Odds, Impact's one of their next pay-per-views will be taking place at the Ohio Expo Center in Columbus, Ohio on June 9th, with Fallout on June 10th. Listen, If you guys aren't watching Impact, you're missing just a really, really good wrestling show. Monday Night Raw this past week ratings, they did 2.2 million viewers with a 0.76 in the 18-49 demo. This is about right for the Raw after WrestleMania because, you know, there is a lot of hype that goes into that show, but the show fucking sucked. It did. Nigel McGuinness is officially All Elite. We'll see where he'll be positioned. Currently, he might be doing some commentary with Ring of Honor. He is a former Ring of Honor competitor. He's the longest reigning Ring of Honor television champion in history, and he holds a special place in a lot of fans' heart, and especially in the hearts of those who grew up on Ring of Honor. So it's good that, you know, he's here. He actually did commentary for was that Supercard of Honor this past weekend. Tony Khan has announced that All In will be taking place at Wembley Stadium August 27th. So this will be replacing All Out, which will not be in Chicago this year. All In, and Wembley seats about 90,000. Expects a seating range of maybe 70,000. If they can get 40 to 50,000 for this event, it is a win. This was the big announcement that Tony Khan had teased. AEW has another signing, which would be former WWE executive Adam Hopkins in a new role. He will be, what is his role? We don't know yet, but he was the former vice president of communications under the WWE banner Dynamite. This past week, their ratings, they did 877,000 viewers with a 0.3 in the 18-49 demo. That is up a little bit from both the previous week's viewers and demographic. An update on Thunder Rosa: she will not be back anytime soon. She has to get another MRI done. I just need Thunder Rosa healthy and training when she can to get back, because she is sorely, for me, missed in the AEW women's division. It looks like it is official. Legado del Fantasma and Rey Mysterio, they will now be known as the LWO, the Latino World Order. I couldn't be happier. And in some news that was a very, very long time coming, Sky Blue is finally All Elite. I don't know what took so long. She's just kind of like a regular on AEW and Ring of Honor now. Like, I don't know why she hasn't been signed. But yeah, Sky Blue is officially All Elite, and that's great. She's a fan favorite. The next WWE draft day has been announced. It will be taking place May 8th in Jacksonville, Florida. That is Monday. So the draft will be taking place on Monday Night Raw, and Triple H says that everybody will be eligible. In some injury news, Madison looks like she got injured during her Ring of Honor match before Rampage. She was helped to the back, so we will see what's going on with her, and we'll have an update for you when it comes. But for now, we'll be right back. All right, so let's get into the week that was, our week in review. And listen, I know we were supposed to start off with Monday Night Raw. Vince McMahon was back in charge, and Raw was absolute dog shit. This is, the famed Raw after WrestleMania. And listen, for the last couple of years, the Raw after WrestleMania haven't been good. They've sucked. Let's just be real. They haven't been great at all. So Triple H comes in. He starts to show off. He welcomes us all and says, all is well, whatever. He introduces the tribal chief. Cody comes out and says he wants a rematch just because he had to face not only Roman but also Solo. And the tribal chief agrees with the help of the wise man, saying that Cody's partner, since he won't get a rematch, he gets a tag team match, partner will have to be someone that has to have wrestled at WrestleMania, cannot get a title shot. Well, the answer was Brock Lesnar, who accepted, because Brock Lesnar actually can't get a title shot as long as Roman Reigns is champion. So, yeah, Cody, Brock versus Roman and Solo. Opening match was Omos squashes Elias. So within the first hour of Raw, after Paul Heyman sends the Usos away for the tag match later, right? There were only 2 minutes within the first hour of Raw. 2 minutes. That's it. Just 2 minutes. Rey Mysterio thanked the fans, and then he has a match against Austin Theory. Theory wins with after Dominic gets involved. Dominic and Damian then attack Bad Bunny because Bad Bunny got in Dom's match Saturday, and Damian Priest chokeslams Bad Bunny through an announce table. So it looks like we're going to be getting Damian versus Rey and Bad Bunny at Backlash. Sami and KO defeated the Street Profits. We had a random Seth Rollins segment. Lashley defeats Ali. Roman Reigns talks himself up because he's got to deal with Brock Lesnar again. Bianca and Rhea face off. Raquel and Liv defeated Damage Control to earn a title shot. Matt Riddle returns to interrupt and attack The Miz in the main event. The match never happens because Brock Lesnar just destroys Cody Rhodes. So yeah, Raw sucked. The Omos match wasn't scheduled. We were supposed to get like a mini women's tournament to determine Rhea Ripley's next challenger. Raw was just bad. The least said about it, the better. Over on Dynamite, we had the real Raw after WrestleMania. This show gets a thumbs up. We were supposed to have Juice Robinson versus Ricky Starks, but Jay White, who is now All Elite, showed up and attacked Ricky, and the Bullet Club is now an AEW. So I'm expecting maybe Ricky and Action Andretti versus Jay White and Juice Robinson. Keith Lee doesn't appreciate Chris Jericho's constant disrespect, so we're going to get that match. The House of Black retained the Trio Championships against the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy in a fun match. Jamie Hayter retains the AEW Women's World Championship against Riho. The Acclaim declined the JAS's invitation right now. MJF was attacked by Jungle Boy after a celebration, just to celebrate himself. They were in Long Island. Sammy Guevara defeats Commander, and he makes his case for being the pillar that should be world champion. Matt Hardy turns to Ethan Page, causing him to lose to Hook. Tony Khan, along with Nigel McGuinness, announced All In London. The BCC went on another murder spree, and Bryan Danielson says, listen, they're wrestlers. They're the only wrestlers here in the company, and they're tired of the amateurs, and they're going to be taking everybody out. Hangman Page comes out by himself to attack him, and he gets his ass beat. They beat him down, and Danielson starts stabbing him with a screwdriver. What? And in the main event, FTR defeat the Guns to win the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The best part about this was the Guns coming out to Mini Men, which was just hot. Over on Impact, the show continues to just be very, very good. They also make up for the travesty that was Monday Night Raw. The Motor City Machine Guns defeated TMDK. The Bullet Club says they got next. Jonathan Gresham versus Speedball Mike Bailey number 3 ended a no contest after Trey Miguel attacked them both. The Design continues indoctrinating Sami Callihan, or just Callahan. The debut with Jody Threat defeats Terra Rising. Santino will return to the ring at Rebellion in a 6-man tag. Tasha Steelz and Giselle Shaw, their feud, man, it's just getting started and is getting heated up. Tommy Dreamer, Yuya Uemura, and Darren McCarty defeated Bully Ray and his boys. Kenny King attacks Dreamer after the match. Kaz, Masha Slamovich, and Killer Kelly all come and join in to run people off or fight. I'm a fan of Killer Kelly. Deonna Purrazzo is on a mission to become a 3-time women's champion. Eddie Edwards defeated PCO after Alicia Edwards returns to help her husband. And in the main event segment, Josh Alexander, as you know, tore his, I believe, tricep. So he relinquishes the world championship. In the ring with him was Steve Macklin, Kushida, and Josh Alexander's wife and kid. And Macklin kept taunting Alexander, Josh Alexander's kid, but trying to provoke him, and Kushida fights him off. So remember, our next world championship match will be Kushida versus Steve Macklin for the vacant championship. Over on Ring of Honor, the Lucha Brothers and Mark Briscoe defeated Shane Taylor and the Workhorsemen. Makes sense that these 3 guys would be a team. Ring of Honor has a 6-man tag team championship, so they need more trios. Teams. Shibata retained the Pure Championship against Christopher Daniels. Brian Cage defeated Ortiz. Jay Lethal defeated Darius Martin. La Facción and Garbonales won a squash match. Daniel Garcia defeated Tracy Williams. Willow Nightingale defeated Notorious Mimi. You may remember her as Sloane Jacobs in NXT. T. The Righteous return and re-debut and win a squash match. Takeshita defeats Tony Nese, showing that he doesn't need Don Callis under the main event. Athena defeated Miyu Yamashita, retaining the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. So this is like the 6th show where not only have there been, I think, 3 women's main events, all the women's main events have featured Athena. All of them. By the end of this year, they're going to eclipse AEW in women's main events. Over on SmackDown, much better show than Raw, be it the WrestleMania Fallout. The Brawling Brutes defeated Imperium. Paul Heyman tells Jay that Roman wants him to handle Sami alone. And you can see that Sami's going to snap. Not Sami, Jay's going to snap at some point. It won't be soon, but he will snap. Ricochet defeated Ivar. Kevin Owens tries to talk some sister Sami like, yeah, I know you still have, this connection to the bloodline and to Jay, but just think better of it. Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan defeated Shotzi Blackheart and Natalya. LA Knight and Xavier Woods got into a little bit, so they'll have a match next week. Triple H announces the draft. We went over that. It'll happen in a few weeks. The Judgment Day continues to be great, and they defeat Ray and Santos. I don't know how I feel. Like, neither team should have lost here, because you have the Judgment Day that need to get their heat back from WrestleMania, but you have the new LWO, and they just can't lose their first match. I would have much rather this end up in like a giant brawl. Sami tries to talk some sense to Jay, like, listen, you know what's going on. Just be better. If someone attacks KO backstage, Jay defeats Sami after a Samoan spike from Solo Sikoa. Solo tries to attack Jay, and Matt Riddle comes and makes the save because he got a little bit of heat with the Bloodline too. Remember, it was Solo that took out Riddle, put him on the shelf. Over on Rampage, we had Rampage and Battle of the Belts last night. So from Rampage, Hook retained the FTW Championship over Ethan Page. We had a QTV segment, and I like the QTV segments. It's poking fun at wrestling. It's poking fun at the dirt sheets. I'm a fan of it. The Acclaimed and 2.0 won the squash match, and then Acclaimed got their asses beat down by 2.0 and Jake Hager. Swerve says a merger is coming. With whom? Well, we'll find out very, very shortly, as Darby Allin defeated Lee Moriarty. And Swerve comes out, him and Darby go way back, and we get the merger. It is the Mogul affiliates who have 51%, wink wink, of the share, merging with the Embassy as Brian Cage attacked Darby Allin. Taya tells Jade in their mediation that, listen, learn your history. This move, the Jade, the Road to Valhalla, has been done by legends for decades, and you don't get ownership of it. You haven't been here for as long as a cup of coffee. And they get into a little heated argument. The Lucha Brothers retain Julia Hart in the main event defeats Anna Jay with the Black Mist. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but I'm happy that these women got to main events Rampage and get to show that they're growing. Anna Jay's obviously a little bit more farther along than Julia Hart, but I like this. I kind of want another match between these two ladies. Over on the Battle of the Belts side of things, Orange Cassidy retains the International Championship over Dralistico, and Buddy Matthews says he's got next. Jay Lethal convinces Mark Briscoe that they should work with each other because they've known each other for the better part of 2 decades. Briscoe accepts, but isn't cool that now it seems he's working with not only Jay Lethal, but Jeff Jarrett and Satnam and Sanjay Dutt. Jade retains the TBS Championship over the upstart Billy Starks. And Taya Valkyrie gets the better of Jade, so this is far, far from over. Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler say they want a piece of the BCC because they don't like bullies, and the Lucha Brothers retain the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship against QT Marshall and Powerhouse Hobbs. As you can see, everybody else gave us better wrestling than Monday Night Raw. Our matches of the week from WrestleMania, as much as I hate it. Also, first of all, Battle of the Belts. I don't think a title has changed hands on Battle of the Belts at all. I'm kind of tired of it. But back to the matches of the week. As much as I hate the guy, Logan Paul. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul from WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the Smackdown Women's Championship, also for WrestleMania. The Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. And from WrestleMania as well, Night 2, Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. If you guys don't know, Night 1 was way better than Night 2 from Dynamite. Jamie Hayter, Riho, AEW Women's World Championship. These two women have respect for each other, and they know how to put that work in. Actually, I guess I kind of forgot about this. Also from WrestleMania, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Yeah. And from Impact, Eddie Edwards versus PCO, and our star of the week. It was hard to really decide who our star of the week would have been. It could have been Rhea, could have been Ray, could have been Jamie Hayter, it could have been a lot of people, but I'm gonna give it to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But that is the week in review, and we shall be right back. NXT. You know it, and you all know for the longest that I just kind of stopped covering NXT. I stopped caring. I stopped giving a damn about this once proud brand territory. And here's the thing. Yes, the black and gold was getting boring near the end, but I don't think it should have went away. And this came about because of that ego trip that, you know, this man goes on. So we got NXT 2.0, and NXT 2.0 just wasn't for me. Wasn't good. I understand that this is your developmental territory, but to shift so drastically from the black and gold to 2.0 just wasn't. In the early stages of 2.0, we still have remnants of the black and gold. Ciampa and Gargano and Pete Dunne and Adam Cole, and they all lost. Ciampa at one point was the NXT champion, then lost to Braun Breaker, who we'll get into. But it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for a lot of people, and this comes on the heels of you know, NXT Black and Gold being a lot of people's favorite brand. And that's due to Triple H. That was due to Hunter essentially making a new territory. You know what I mean? But we got NXT. We got 2.0. Some like it, some despise it. So we had a year and some change of NXT 2.0. Many downs, more downs than ups. And their roster currently is huge. I recognize probably 60 to maybe 70% of the current NXT roster. So this past weekend we had WrestleMania, and last week's show was, you know, everybody needs the end of the year story. That show, right? So NXT, they have Stand and Deliver. It's a horrible name for an event. I prefer takeovers, and you know, we're not going to get takeovers anymore But we have NXT Stand and Deliver. This is their marquee event. Let's start with Stand and Deliver. Let's start with the resets, right? Because this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the reset of NXT. Can they recover? Can they get better? So, Stand and Deliver started with the ladder match for the NXT Women's Championship, and those involved were Indy Hartwell, Zoe Stark, Gigi Dolan, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, and Roxanne Perez, the champion, going into the match. So let's take a look at these 6 women. You can say that, hey, maybe these are the women that they want to spotlight, with the exception of, like, JC Jane, who obviously will have a spotlight. Alba and Isla, who are part of, the women's tag team division. Ivy Nile, Elektra Lopez, Cora Jade, who was out on injury, Blair Davenport, who I believe is injured, but those are like the main women. Then there's Casey and Katana, and Nikita Lyons, right? Wendy Chu. So we're here with these 6 women. And so how do they get here? How do they play into this match? So Indy Hartwell was actually introduced out of everyone here in this 6th grouping of women. Indy Hartwell was actually here before 2.0. She was part of the Way faction with Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory, Dexter Lumis, and Candice LeRae. So she's got the most history currently in the NXT brand. You have Zoe Stark, who next to, let me see, I'll say Zoe, Roxanne, Mako. They're the 3 in Alba Fire. They're the 4 best women's wrestlers on the entire NXT brand. They like outshine everybody. So Zoe is, I want to say, quote unquote, the steady hand in this match, someone you can trust because she's really, really good. You have Lyra Valkyria, who is new to me. As I look at the NXT roster currently, I have to remember what she looks like. She's not even on this page. But there she is. Yeah, she doesn't stand out to me. Then you have Gigi Dolan. Y'all know, my wife, the love of my life. She's clearly going to be one of the women being pushed, right? You have Tiffany Stratton, another woman that they have the utmost faith in. I'm not the biggest Tiffany Stratton fan. To me, she's a dime a dozen, blue-eyed, blonde-haired chick getting by her looks. And that's not, I don't want to downplay her skills because she has control of her character and she has evolved tremendously in the ring. She's solid in the ring. And then we have Roxanne Perez, who's the best, next to Mako, the best women's wrestler on the entire roster. She's the prodigy. Roxanne's just that good. She's got a bright future. Probably out of everybody on the NXT roster, she's the one woman out of like the new school who can leave NXT, go to AEW, go to Impact, go to New Japan, go to AAA and succeed because she's that good in the ring. And mind you, Roxanne Perez is a former Ring of Honor Women's Champion. That's how good she is. She's a former Ring of Honor Women's Champion, has put on tremendous matches outside of NXT already. So her, I'm not worried about. I am not worried about Roxanne at all. I'm just not. But the winner of this match was Indy Hartwell, and that was kind of shocking to me. It was shocking to a lot of people that Indy Hartwell, she'd be the one to walk away from this match as the champion. So it plays into the story of her character, losing faith in herself and not believing. She had help from her her in-character husband, Dexter Lumis. And I'm happy that that stays canon, right? Next up on the card, we had the triple threat match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We had Gallus, the team of Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, defending against the Creed brothers and the team of Tony D'Angelo and Channing Lorenzo Stacks. The Creed brothers are the best tag team in NXT. I'm sorry. No, they're not the best. They're one of the best. You got them. You got, I'm still going to call them the Grizzly Young Veterans. The Grizzly Young Veterans. Gallus is pretty, they're pretty solid. But the winner of this match was Gallus, which doesn't really shock me because the Creed brothers have already been champions. They've already, put on the matches, shown the work, and that's fine. So I wasn't really expecting them to win, but this was an okay match, nothing to write home about. That's okay. I kind of wish it would have got longer time. Then we had the 5-way dance for the NXT North America Championship with our champion Wes Lee defending against Dragon Lee, Axiom, Ilya Dragunov, JD McDonough. Now, these 5 men right here, these are like the workhorses on NXT. These dudes can go. Throw in Tyler Bates and talent. Like Wesley, Dragon Lee, Axiom, Ilya Dragunov, JD McDonough, Tyler Bate, Nathan Frazier, kind of the mid-card guys right now, they would be big stars in Triple H's NXT. He would be building them up to an unprecedented level. And this was a good match. This was action-packed. It had the moves, and it had a lot to live up to when it comes to the billing, and it was good. This was also Dragon Lee's debut match. Dragon Lee, he's a veteran. He's been here. Dragon Lee. So for this version of NXT, Dragon Lee doesn't need to be here. If this was the black and gold, I'd be like, yeah, Dragon Lee makes sense because Triple H was running a territory. But Dragon Lee here in this NXT right now, he doesn't need to be here, man. And that's backed up by the fact that he's paid more like a main roster superstar. Because Dragon Lee is that dude. He's like legitimately that good. But all of these dudes got time to shine, and this is definitely one of the best matches, if not the best match on the card. Next up, we had an unsanctioned match. So this is technically not in the record books. If you go look at the card show, it will say this is match number 0 because it's unsanctioned. Unsanctioned matches don't count. So we had Grayson Waller versus Johnny Gargano. Grayson Waller is another guy that they have faith in NXT. They have major faith in NXT. And he's lost all of his major feuds, though. Just like he lost this match. And it's okay to lose to Johnny Gargano. This match had great story. And this was a one-off for Johnny. He made Grayson Waller tap, and he got to celebrate with his wife, Candice LeRae. And as they're on stage, out comes Indy, out comes Dexter Lumis, and Candice is happy, everybody's happy. Like, the way we're so over and the way it can be over. See, that's why I'm a little shocked at Indy becoming champion, because I figured after WrestleMania, she doesn't need to be in NXT. She would actually benefit more from being on the main roster because you have a ready-made tag team with her and Candice LeRae in the way. You have the history there, and it works so much. So that's why a lot of us were shocked that Indy Hartwell is the NXT Women's Champion. Next up, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship, the team of Kiana James and Fallon Henry defending against Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. And I'm saying this here now. I've said this for weeks and weeks and months and months and months. Alba Fire does not need to be in NXT. She just doesn't. Alba Fire should be on the main roster already, having banger after banger after banger. But she's still in NXT, and it's gotten better for her because the shadow of Mandy Rose is no longer there. So that works into her favor. I think Mandy Rose is one of the worst NXT champions ever. Like, her and Raquel will go down as the two worst NXT champions ever. One of these things are not like the other. If you look at the long line, the long lineage of the NXT Women's Championship, Mandy Rose and Raquel Rodriguez don't fit. So Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, who started out as enemies and now are a tag team, they defeat Kiana James and Fowler Henry, winning the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. And this was the death spot. This came after, the unsanctioned match, and it sucks that the women had to be put here, and it wasn't that great. It wasn't that smooth, and I'm putting that solely on James and Henley, because they're the rookies here. Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, they know what they're doing. So we'll dive in a little bit later into the NXT Women's Tag Team division, but them two winning, I'm perfectly fine with that. I would love to see more for Alba Fire, but that's okay. She's a champion. In the main event, the two top dogs of NXT that have been separated from each other for the better part of a year, they teamed up one time. And a really poor match. That was the War Games match where the NXT 2.0 guys defeated the NXT Black and Gold guys, the NXT Originals, and this is Bron Breakker and Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship. Bron Breakker was the champion. He's been the champion better part of it. He had that one blip where he lost the championship to Dolph Ziggler, but he got it back, I believe, at Stand and Deliver of last year. So for the better part of like a year and a half, Bron Breakker's been the NXT champion, whereas Melo was elevating the North American Championship, having really, really great matches. And yes, we all figured Melo would win. This wasn't the smoothest of matches. This wasn't the best match. This wasn't what I thought we would get from them. They built this up, and the match was, do I want to say underwhelming? I'll say underwhelming. But Carmelo Hayes is your new NXT champion. So that's how we reset. We have the Stand and Deliver. We got a new NXT champion. We have a new Women's Tag Team Championship. We have a new Women's Champion. And we have some retained. So we move on to NXT for the week. So how was the Fallout show? Well, let's just run down it real quick. And we start with Indy Hartwell. And, she still has, this non-faith in herself, but she's the champion, so she's got to go out there and prove herself, and she's being confronted by Zoe Stark, which I like. I like that it's Zoe because it's a good hand. It's a good person she's a good ring partner, right? We have our tag team match between Tony D'Angelo and Stacks versus Pretty Deadly, and Pretty Deadly are another team that, those in charge, Shawn Michaels, who runs NXT, he has faith in. They win. This is a fine match. It was whatever. So Stacks and D'Angelo, they're also someone that the company has faith in, but they're like incredibly boring. There's only so much you can do with this, this cliched gangster gimmick when you have the gangsters, the Goodfellas, up on the main roster in the Bloodline. We got Odyssey Jones versus Dijak, the former Dominik Dijakovic, and Dijak wins, building up his credibility. He's someone that doesn't need to be in NXT. And the WWE has failed Dominik just like they failed Keith Lee. He just has. He's just been failed. Because if you go back and watch his 3, 4, 5 matches against Keith Lee, they're amazing, amazing matches. And he's got to hear suffer in NXT. We get another match. Nathan Frazier versus Dragon Lee, two amazing in-ring athletes. And I wish this match would have gotten more time, but they have faith in these two guys. So I'm not overtly concerned about Dragon Lee. I'm not overtly concerned about Nathan Frazier. Another person that, actually someone that I'm kind of a fan of, is Andre Chase and Chase U. I just love his character. And I love how he gets involved in things. I just want him to win more feuds. Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, Women's Tag Team Division. Who are their challengers? What's next for them? Axiom says he wants the NXT North American Championship, and we have our Women's Championship with Indy Hartwell defending against Zoe Stark. And Indy won. She wasn't going to lose her first title defense. Tiffany Stratton hits the ramp. She wants the championship. Cora Jade comes out and attacks Hartwell from behind. So Cora Jade's another person that they have faith in. She's fine to me. She's just basic. She's cool, but I'm curious as to the direction they'll go. We got Ivy. We had Briggs and Jensen and Kiana and Fallon. This is building up their whole cheating storyline and using the money in the bar. And listen, I don't watch NXT, but I go and do my research. Ivy Now and Tatum Paxley 1-on-1. Ivy Now wins. I didn't expect anything less. Paxley has gotten better. Ivy Now is good too. I would have loved to see Ivy Now like in a tag team with Layla Hirsch. You know what I mean? Ilya Dragunov, Von Wagner. Don't know why we're getting this. Von Wagner is someone that they tried to put their faith in. He's just not good. Same way that Karrion Kross is not good. Von Wagner is not good. We have the North American Championship match. Wesley defending against, that's a horrible name, Wesley defending against Axiom. 10 minutes. It was fine. Scripps comes out and takes some of the people out. Axiom says he would expose Scripps. Reggie, who is Scripps, this is weird. And in the main event segment, Braun Breaker turned heel on Carmelo. So many of us expected Braun to be called up, but gotta get that heel running. You know what I mean? Gotta get that in to really, 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 really solidify Carmelo as the champion. So hopefully whatever match they have is just better than what they did at Stand and Deliver. So as we look at the divisions, the men's and women's tag team division, the men's tag team division, I'm not really worried about. You got Duke Hudson and Andre Chase. You got the Creed brothers. You got Pretty Deadly. You've got Gallus and Joe Gacy and Deshair. So the NXT men's tag team division is fine. It's the women's tag division that I'm a little skeptical about. You know what I mean? Because if you look at the women on the roster, most of them are just average. And it's like the gap, the gap between those who are like really good and then those who are average and over those who are just meh it's big. Those gaps in between each. So, question is getting competent tag teams. Like I could genuinely just see Cora and Tiffany end up becoming a tag team because that's just what happens. You know what I mean? But I like Isla Dawn. I like Alba Fire, and I think they're good enough to make the division very, very interesting. You know what I mean? So in that realm, I'm curious. You know what I mean? Now the North American division, it's not lacking for challengers. There are so many guys on this roster that are just ready. And then the main roster, the main men's division for the World Championship is mixed with a lot of guys that can be elevated, that can be lower. So you have Apollo Crews, you have Wes Lee. I have no idea what's going on with Cameron Grimes. He has just been MIA for the longest. Don't know what's going on with him. Who else we have? You got JD McDonough. You got Ilya Dragunov. You've got. I can see a guy like Otis Jones, once he gets his feet back under him, being elevated. But the roster, I will say, is mixed. And they're trying, to give us these characters. They're trying to build. The question is, will it work? Will the product get better? If I stop caring about NXT, someone that used to love NXT, someone that loves professional wrestling, tries to watch as much as I can it get better? I don't know. With the merger and Vince McMahon pretty much being back in power, will he get his grubby little mitts back into the product? Who knows? But there's talent there. There's very much talent there. There are a couple of people in NXT who have my eye, who I support, who I'm like, okay, I want you to do well. And we didn't even cover everybody. We've got Ava Raine, The Rock's daughter, working there, making a name for herself. Mello, what's going to happen with him? Like, he's the current champion, but it's clear that he's destined for more. And while they've kept him and Braun Breaker apart up until Stand and Deliver, it's very obvious that he's better than Braun. Braun's okay. Braun's good, but he's bland. Whereas Mello, Mello has it. Blair Davenport is out. Where will she picture into the NXT women's division? JC Jane, she's going to finish her beef with Gigi. Where do Casey and Katana fit in all of this? They're one of the few people that have been in NXT for quite a long time. Like, Casey and Katana were there during the Black and Gold, like a good part of the Black and Gold. So what are they still doing in NXT? Will they ever get their call up? And we know that, they have faith in Nikita Lyons, they have faith in Tiffany Stratton, but these women got to do more than just being attractive women. Now, they clearly have faith in Sol Roca, but I need to start seeing more than just flips and the hot finisher. I need to see growth. Tyler Bates, one of the best wrestlers on, if not the best male wrestler on that roster. And what's going to happen with Trick? Is he always going to be Carmelo's second hand, his right hand man? We have Wendy Chu. Where does she fit on? So the roster starting to get so big, and we've got to move these pieces around. I'm looking at this roster now, and there are people I'm just like, I have no idea who some of these people are. Like, who the hell is Brooklyn Barrow? Who is Bronco Nima? Jakara Jackson, Kale Dixon, Miles Born. Like, who are some of these people? I recognize Mark Coffey, who's a solid hand. So I'm curious. I'm gonna keep an ear to the ground for NXT. I'm gonna see what they have in store, because now we have the reset. Now this is your prime opportunity to really make things worthwhile, and don't hold back. That's it. Just don't hold back. But thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it as always. Next week's episode, The Art of Failure Part 3. And if you don't know The Art of Failure, it's failing to make new stars, whether that be the WWE, whether that be Impact, NXT, AEW. Well, so we'll dive into that. We'll give you a refresher on the last time we did it. As always, check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and Tumblr, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, the 215 on Twitter. The Patreon is now live. And as always, Xylee, Wendy Chu, Isla Dawn, Shouty Blackheart, Bailey, and Gigi Dolan. Holla at your boy. Peace.